And today, and today, we are going to start element 5. And bear in mind, starting from element 5 up to element 11, this is all about hazards identification or kind of risk we're going to discuss. And most importantly, the hierarchy of control, how we're going to minimize or bring down the risk level, making it tolerable or negligible or as low as reasonably practicable. So the whole discussion starting from today to onward up to element 11 would have a triangle like hazards, in other words, hazards and risk one way. Then on the other side, the controls and the precautions are kind of systematic way of how we're gonna control or reduce the impact of those hazards or risks. So within this triangle, we'll be learning a little bit deeper comparing to our existing understanding because NEBOSH theories are very detailed. Like if they're gonna take any hazard, they will go a little bit in deeper and understand, like a doctor, how terrible that hazard could be and what could be the consequences if we'll not control. If it is uncontrolled, how terribly it is going to be affecting the health of our employees or the safety of our employees, or even could be damaging to our company assets or to the environment, even to the business itself. So that is why starting from 5 element to number 11, this is all about going to be support to our IG2. IG2 mean our risk assessment project. And today, inshallah, I'll share one example of risk assessment as per the NEBOSH requirements on their format. And then we're going to share one empty format in Word, so you can also prepare your project. And bear in mind your internal risk assessment registers, that means Sadara's all risk registers or risk assessment registers or studies would be really helpful for all of you because since you are a role model, mashallah, in the market. So for you, it shouldn't be a issue to complete that project, but still the challenge is you have to complete that project in line with NEBOSH requirements on their format. So let's start the day 5 with element 5, physical and psychological health. That is the topic. And from that topic, we have a few learning objectives. We'll target some of the hazards or risks, and we'll discuss how they can affect our health and what are the best controls. And most importantly, we'll be talking about noise, vibration, kind of radiations, could be ionizing, could be non-ionizing, and also the work-related mental ill health and the violence at work and substance abuse. So we'll be targeting noise, vibration, radiation, work-related mental ill health, violence at work, and substance abuse. We'll be discussing a little bit deeper about these hazards and risks, and then we're going to agree what would be the best solutions. First of all, we will share our experience, and then we'll see how NEBOSH is guiding us, inshallah. So noise, the noise, I hope you remember, one of the guy came from UK and that company was hired by Saudi Aramco only for noise survey or noise assessment, nothing else. They are not going to support how to eliminate, might be they're going to suggest few things, but their ultimate purpose was just to complete the noise survey. And luckily I was with that guy on 8 rig sites of Saudi Aramco. So that day I realized how much it is important, to be very honest, because sometimes we take some of the hazards we take really light, or a little bit noisy area, no problem for us, But today, inshallah, after this detailed discussion, you all are going to realize how terrible monster that noise hazard is and how terribly it is affecting to our health, our psychological patterns, overall making damaging to our hearing, making us deaf even. And most importantly, uh, whenever you see someone, especially the machine operator, working in the noisy area for 8 or 12 hours, and whenever you see him in angry mood and always under stress, so take it positively that he is in a terrible environment and we are not giving full care. And that is why psychologically, mentally, emotionally, a lot of changes are happening just because of that terrible monster. We call it noise hazarding. So let's discuss, inshallah. Before we move on, and any one of you want to highlight about Sadara activities or processes which you believe are highly noisy areas or kind of processes or activities? You believe the noise level is above than 80 decibel or above than 85 decibel as per OSHA regulations, or as per UK regulations is 80 decibel. So have you ever evaluated what is the noise level in different places of your Sadara projects, and what is that source from where that noise is coming, and how it is accumulating? Do you have a separate noise assessment of all the Sadara activities and processes, including the areas, and could be a machine area, could be a crane operating area, could be the area where you are mixing your chemicals or manufacturing your chemicals? What are the noisy areas, and could be your generator area? One example. Would you like to highlight anyone voluntarily, please? Have you ever seen this noise assessment of Sadara projects? Over to you, please. Any one of you, please. What are the most dangerous areas or the highly noisy areas within Sadara? Have you ever evaluated or pointed out?
It could be flares.
Okay.
Assalamu alaikum, good morning everyone. In Sadara we have the MRU, that means manufacture refrigerator unit. The noise there, yes, the noise here is too high. That's around more than 105 decibel. And also for our Sadara, we for the BBAs, that area need to use the double hearing protection that to reduce the noise. And also we have the assessment for annual assessment for that area. That mean the noise, how's the noise there, and also we have the noise monitoring also. That device can make sure the noise, how's the noise, is it high, is it same, this devices can calculate the noise in that area. So we have the annual review for that area, and also for Sadara we have the document for the noise area. That in EO plan. Thank you.
Where you have the noise 105, it is unavoidable, like you have implemented all hierarchy of controls, and still this 105, that means this is the maximum, always will be there, unavoidable, is kind of inbuilt with the machinery, or you have any difference of opinion?
Yes. Again?
Yeah, your existing controls are sufficient, or that is why this 105 is unavoidable, the decibel. It would always be there. That is why you provided EMR for,
Yes. We have the specific area that in our area, and the noise is too high because the machine, the noise there is too high. So that's why we put the requirement there in that area
Mhm.
to reduce the noise and using the double hearing protection.
That means you have tried everything, your preventive maintenance plan, your regular maintenance, your cross kind of meetings, technical meetings with your manufacturer from where you purchased that
Yes.
machine. And the design
Yes.
was in line with the international standards and nothing is wrong. You know, it is well designed and that is unavoidable some level, surely will be there. So only option is you try and you ultimately provide the earmuffs are kind of best protection to keep your employees safe.
Yes. Yes.
Brilliant, mashallah. Brilliant. Now, as per NEBOSH, let's understand, you know, the effects of exposure to noise could be mostly on construction workers, especially the workers who are working with the plant, machinery, or concrete breakers. They are terribly in trouble if we don't give importance to the noise hazard. If we don't apply a hierarchy of control, our employees surely could be in danger zone, and very soon you will see terrible psychological, emotional, even kind of physical changes into their bodies because of that terrible monster. On the other side, the uniform services, maybe small arms and artillery, and also entertainment sector workers like loud music. That loud music is another area where workers are in trouble for sure. Manufacturing sector workers like industrial machinery, like you gave an example of Sadara machinery, call center staff, acoustic shock for headsets even. Now, what are the effects, exposure to noise? So we have physical effects and we have psychological effects as per NEBOSH theories. The temporary is a reduction in hearing, like temporary threshold shift, ringing in ears, temporary tinnitus, or on the other side, permanent tinnitus or noise reduced hearing loss, permanent threshold shift, inability to hear vehicle warning and conversations. And for that person, the probability of accident gone up because he is unable to hear the vehicle's warnings and conversation sound. So you are saying something else and he understood entirely a different story. Maybe rigging and lifting is going on, but he couldn't hear the message, the warning, the noise for his health. So temporary and permanent physical effects are there. And of course, there are psychological effects, stress and concentration problems. And to be very honest, during this pandemic, these were the most terrible hazards, especially the stress. And don't expect that everyone is very much capable how to, manage your stresses. No doubt, stress could be, as per my kind of analysis, stress could be the positive stress and could be the negative stress. So we have to avoid from the negative stress. Now you're gonna say, how come a stress could be positive? This is my own theory. I'm telling you. You know how I generate that theory. The reason behind is if you don't feel any stress, at positive level, even you'll not wake up on time. You'll not be performing your certain positive activities on time and with better energy if that positive stress is not there. Because if you're gonna be kind of a flea bird and no stress at all, it would be hard for you to perform certain activities throughout the day even if that positive stress is not there, you will not be like sitting into this training also for several hours. So we need some motivational grounds, to leave our bed and wake up as quick as possible and then get active, and that is called a strong indicator of your professionalism as well. That your mind is saying sleep, sleep, and sleep, but still your professionalism, your positive stress is saying no, 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 just wake up. It's important. You can't miss, But yes, if it is converting into negative stress, even that training could be terrible for you. If it is creating negative stresses, like you don't like the training and it is hard for you to sit for several hours, or you created several negative stresses, even that training could be terrible. Another terrible hazard might be that you are unable to sit for several hours and listen a person, talking and talking, and then no doubt a little bit interactive also, but mostly he is the one talking and we are the one good listeners actually. So that is why I created positive stress and negative stress. This is my own theory, not from the scientific point of view, correct or not. That is just I realize. And of course, the people who are working in highly noisy areas, they would have distractions or kind of distracted mind, a mind which can't focus actually. And this is the most challenging area of today's era. We are facing terribly the concentration problems. And one of the issue is the screen addiction. Like if you use your mobile for 4, 6, 8 hours, or maybe sometime more than that, just see, and you would be unable to concentrate if you are all the time listening music or having some loudy, noisy environment and bearing with that. Then start realizing it is hard for you to focus. Every time your mind is distracted and you are moving towards mobile. And that is the reason in my training sessions, I never say, no, please don't use mobile. I don't say it, to be very honest, because I know the mind is addicted. So I can't change within 1 hour or within 2, 3 hours. But I humbly request, please, since it's important for you, it's part of your body. So if there is an important call, you are free to attend that call. If it is an important message, you are free to reply. I will give you some, kind of uh, revision, or maybe, I can recall the topics and make sure you understand still. But enjoy your screen addiction. I'm not here to change you overnight, and don't try for it also, my friends. Like if in Sadara you create a policy from today to onward, no one is going to bring even a single cigarette, especially the chain smokers. What would be the reaction? Just see, because their mind is addicted to the nicotine, right? So make sure our people are not going to be addicted with highly noisy areas. If they became addicted, they will damn care about your PPs also. I repeat again, if your employees could be addicted with highly noisy areas or the noise levels, they will dislike even your earplug or earmuffs. They'll not love to wear them actually, because they are quite happy. They are used to with that highly noisy, even though physical effects are there, psychological effects are there, but they will not realize how terribly they are in trouble. And bear in mind, addiction of anything is terrible. And the most dangerous addiction is the power addiction. And you will see the power wars everywhere, country to country, family to family, friend to friend, colleague to colleague, businessman to businessman. It's a game of power. It's not a game of money only. Even money they made foundation to get more power. But power addiction is one of the most dangerous one, because you become so much destructive if you misuse that power, or if you don't know positively how to utilize that power. Like go back and see any of your director or any of your Sadara general manager or the highly top leader actually within your Sadara. If any leader is addicted with power, it would be really hard for all of you to handle that gentleman, because he's addicted negatively with that power game. Actually, the most terrible addiction is the power addiction. Even alcohol, even other drugs, they can't make you so much addicted. Still, your mind have power to leave them. But once you got addicted with kind of power, it could be political power, it could be your professional powers, but that addiction is horrible. If you don't know how to, be humbled and how you're gonna manage yourself. Same way, please try hard. Don't let your employees to be addicted with highly noisy levels, within your company operations. Otherwise, it would be harder even for you to bring a change actually and to convince them. Now, what is the terminology? There is a kind of a sound pressure. We call it the air pressure of sound waves moving through the air, expressed in decibels. Sometimes you have noted a sudden bomb blast and up to 1 kilometer or 3 kilometers sometime, the windows, mirrors broken, the doors are broken just because of that sound, and created terrible vibration. So imagine what would happen to our internal kind of structure of our ear, the eardrum. Because the air pressure of sound waves moving through the air expressed in decibels, like that is why through that way we define the legal limits. Like the legal limits in Saudi Arabia is 85 decibel. In UK is 80 decibel. In America is 85 decibel. Some countries claim, up to 90 decibel is okay. But for 8 hours, more than 8 hours, even that 85 decibel or 80 decibel still not acceptable. Now, what is decibel? The unit of sound pressure level, subjectively the loudness, frequency, the number of pressure waves per second. And weighing sound pressure level corrected to match human hearing sensitivity, and C is all about weighting, kind of sound pressure level corrected for impulse noise. This is kind of a terminology. Now see the impact or the level, like 0 decibel mean the faintest audible sounds. Still you can feel some sounds. 20 to 30 decibel is kind of a quiet library. In the library, the sound still, we all are quiet and we believe no possibility of sound to come in, but still 20 to 30 decibel sound is there. 50 to 60 decibel during our conversation. If I'll speak more louder, maybe it will go to 75, maybe 80 at some level, But the normal conversation, 50 to 60 decibel already is there. Now, if we are enjoying or having entertainment with loud radio, that means 65 to 75 decibel. If we talk about 90 to 100 decibel, this belong to power drills, And if it is 140, you can get an example, jet aircraft taking off 25 meters away, 140 decibel sound level would be there. So this data basically give us some understanding how that decibel level, or we can observe, we can evaluate, even without noise monitor, We can just, even though we don't work on assumptions, bear in mind, guys, we as a safety leaders never work on assumptions. Yes, when we have any project in confined spaces, then surely we assume, but still we double check. We assume might be there would be toxic gases, but still we double check with authorized gas tester, with gas monitoring equipments, to reconfirm that something is dangerous or it's all okay. What I mean is we don't work on assumptions, but yes, sometimes we assume. And wherever we have assumption, we need authentic kind of analysis or testing and validation that we were right, It was not a wrong assumption actually. Now, there are plenty of noise exposure standards, but Bear in mind two factors which determine the degree of harm are noise level and duration of exposure. If the persons are working above than 105 or 106 decibel, then the second parameter is important, how long they are working, how many hours they are working into that area. If they're working for 8 hours or more than that, either they are working for 1 hour. So because of this duration of exposure, the impact will be lesser or maybe more according to the time duration. A noise assessment is undertaken to measure noise levels and duration of exposure. This is then used to make an estimate of workers' personal exposure to noise actually. That is why the noise assessment, the noise survey, sometimes you take your full layout of your project, of your manufacturing units, and the complete layout, you go into each nook and corner and you have internal noise assessment experts under as environmental engineers or environmental coordinators. Mostly now companies already are hiring. So whosoever is responsible internally, but make sure that noise meter is calibrated and giving the right readings. If you're not capable enough or you don't have that resources, then third party must be there. And this is another requirement to get PME license, like from PME, we call it metrology of environmental, environmental metrology of Saudi Arabia. So they will issue you the license to run that manufacturing unit. If that noise level is not under permissible limits or your controls are not effective, still they have authority to question, to warn, to penalize, to fine, and even to stop your business operation if it is affecting terribly to your employees or even to the nearby communities. So this is then used to make an estimate of workers and personal exposure to noise. Personal exposure is then compared to the legal standards. Now, measurements and assessment must be undertaken by a competent person. And I hope you all understand what is the definition of competence, or to whom we can call is a competent person. Now, the noise exposure standards, personal noise exposure, the daily personal noise exposure, like LEPD is workers calculated 8 hours noise exposure. Workers exposure to single peaks of exposure, impulse noise is also measured. This is the peak sound pressure. Now, subject to national laws around the world, no doubt there are no harmonized standards, but in UK, these are laid out in the control of noise and work regulations. In the UK, these are laid out in the control of noise and work regulations 2005. So I'll try to download and share, inshallah, or maybe a link in the WhatsApp group just for your, because these references probably you might need, the moment you have noise hazard in your IG2 project like risk assessment. So you can give a reference based on which regulations you are telling, or you are assessing this noise as a risk and putting control measures according to which regulations. So you can support your technical points and justify them. And bear in mind, each technical point is equal to one number. This is the straightforward formula in the minds of NEBOSH examiners. One correct technical point is equal to 1 mark. So that means every word, every sentence, every paragraph, whatever we are writing must be technically sound, and logically provable also through some references and links. Now follow EU directives. We have noise exposure standards. Lower exposure action values are daily or weekly personal noise of 85 decibel. This is lower exposure action values. A peak sound pressure of 135 decibel C for impulse noise, and upper exposure action values are daily or weekly personal noise exposure like 85 decibel and a peak sound pressure of 137 decibel for impulse noise. And limit values again a daily or weekly personal noise exposure of 87 decibel and a peak sound pressure of 140 decibel for impulse noise. But where employees exposure varies markedly from day to day, the weekly personal noise exposure can be used in place of the daily personal exposure standards. So we have to understand the daily and the weekly, and that is why duration is so much important to realize along with the noise survey. Now, lower exposure action value is 85 decibel for 8 hours, like threshold limit value is 8 hours, or time weight average in other words. But carry out, if it is like 80 decibel, so make sure you carry out noise assessment. It could be third party or internally, but make sure the noise meter is fully calibrated, validated, not giving the wrong readings. Provide information, instruction, and training. And the competent person, if you are claiming as a noise assessor, make sure you have evidences of his training, kind of IT or third party trainings, or maybe your internal training records as per the requirements, Make hearing protection available. So if it is lower exposure action value, these three actions surely are important. Carry out noise assessment, provide information, instruction, and training, and make hearing protection available, like earmuff or earplugs, but suitable one, appropriate one. Now, noise exposure standards action triggered. Upper exposure action value is 85 decibel. Again, we have to do, kind of noise assessment. And what is the purpose? So accordingly, we can put some hierarchy of control or some actions to reduce noise exposure by engineering means allowed as low as reasonable, practicable. Our noise is still above 85 decibel, then what we have to do? If noise level is still above 85 decibel, then what actions are important? Like mandatory hearing protection zone. You have to put a warning sign. This is kind of a highly noisy area. No unauthorized person can go there. You can't move on without permission, or several things you implement as an administration controls. And accordingly, you will inform, you will give instructions and training and provide hearing protection and enforce them. Provide hearing protection and enforce them. That means here you have authorities to enforce, to make sure everyone is using them. Like if you provided earmuffs, because that sound level is unavoidable, then make sure they are surely using it, not playing with their safety. Because sometimes probably they are very much serious and following and wearing this earmuff the moment you are present. But just observe their behavior in absence of you, and that would be the true data. Either they are following the PPs or just playing, or kind of acting is there. You just can, because people don't realize, to be very honest, the self-realization is very, very rare, I would say, even especially in Middle East, unfortunately. Like it is really hard to realize that my safety, my responsibility, my area, my responsibility. I'm the safety manager of my area, my department, my processes. That is really rare to have that kind of self-realization. That is why we are bound to enforce sometime, for their safety, because they don't realize why we provided earmuffs. And they don't realize, and they don't have that much knowledge also, how that noise hazard is terrible, for their physical health, even for their psychological health. And still it is important to have health surveillance. Now here, if you allow me, I can create a question. Do you have audiometry testing of your employees? Like the people are working above 105 decibel every day, it's the same environment. And do you have audiometry tests at least for those employees? Over to you, please.
Good morning. Assalamu alaikum. Yes, we have. We haven't. We can requested this media from IH Industrial Hygiene, okay, to control or to measure the high noise for each area. So if we recognize there is this one here, there is one area it's have a high noise, okay? So we can have, we can request from IH this media, okay, this, so we can give it to the worker there, okay, either from Sadara or contractor, okay? So for 8 hours or 6 hours, and we can see what is the, what's the high, or even we can fix one media there, okay, and we can control it. So it is available. We have the control for that noise. Thank you.
But I'm talking about the audiometry test of your employees. Like within 1 year working in that noisy area, how much their hearing is damaged, or it's the same, you know, because you provided earmuff. You are
yes. For this point, we have the our annually checkup. You know, for this for audio, this for the hearing, we have annually checkup.
Excellent.
We can see about last year, this year, so we can see we have this record.
To be very honest, Mr. Khalid, Mr. Fawaz, but still I would claim you are the best role models. Otherwise, imagine how many companies are there, and even they don't have idea what is that audiometry test, what is the value, it is legal or it is important for the health of their employees. They have no idea about it, you know. Several companies you can notice. But since, you know, where we have strong health and safety professionals and the best leaders, of course, they will educate even to the top management why that health surveillance is important. Now, the noise exposure standards, still actions triggered because of exposure limit value, 87 decibel. What we have to do, immediately prevent exposure and reduce below the limit value. Whenever you believe the 85 decibel or above is there, immediately prevent exposure and reduce below the limit value. The ELV exposure limit value is an absolute ceiling above which exposure must not go actually. Otherwise, if it is unavoidable, of course, you have earmuffs or right type of ear defenders, you know. That was all about, we discuss, you know, even you can go back and have a deep study of your noise survey reports or noise analysis, or maybe noise risk assessment of all your activities, areas, processes, or your machines, equipment. So just see where you're standing, especially your machine shop. This is kind of a group exercise also. A noise survey has been carried out, and there are 2 work areas of concern. Machine shop, noise level is 83 decibel throughout the shift. So machine shop is there, noise level is 83 decibel throughout the shift, could be 8 hours, could be, of course it should be 8 hours. Woodworking area, noise level is 90 decibel throughout the shift. Discuss the action that would need to be taken in each area. If you are the safety leader and you observe the both readings in both different workshops or departments, what would be your action? Let's discuss first of all machine shop area. What actions you're going to implement? Will you be relying only on the PPs or the ear defenders or earplug or earmuffs, or you will take some other actions also? It's a machine shop. Anyone, please? What actions that would need to be taken in each area? In machine shop and in woodworking area.
In the machine shop, you know, we have, we can see that for the noise, which one is have more noise, okay, and we can make survey for all activity, okay. We can make we can check how many activity that have noise, okay, and we can have a schedule for mixing survey, and we put the survey measurement and what is the risk for that, okay, and what's required PPE. So this either single or double hearing protection, or limited time for if it's high noise, that will be limited time for that activity. So يعني that's for يعني side and shop we have the same thing.
Excellent. So any sort of engineering controls you're going to implement in the machine shop?
Again, please.
Any sort of engineering solutions you'll recommend in the machine shop, or this is kind of PPs and some administration controls like rotation of employees or reducing the exposure time or allocating, you know, the exposure time according to the noise level? Or you will apply some engineering controls also, even though elimination and substitution is not possible, is quite doable, you know, like 83 decibel you can reduce through some engineering control, through some administrative and PPs. PPs and administrative controls you mentioned really well, mashallah. But my question is there any need you believe you can play and you can create an effect through engineering solutions? If that's so, what type of engineering solutions you will apply here?
Well, I don't have I don't see this.
Okay. No problem. Any other opinion, please? Will you go back and see either the preventive maintenance plan is being followed, the regular maintenance is done, any noise coming from the friction of that machine, maybe the lubrication problems or the sound, you will find out the source of that sound, exactly from which part, from which area of the machine, you know, which machine is more noisy. Either you will verify the shelf life or the expiry date of that machine, either it is already depreciated in the accounts books and now it's a bonus here, so we are getting benefit from that machine, and that machine is creating more noise. So it is really important through the noise survey to identify the noise source, like you mentioned also, mashallah. So for that source, can you do something engineering kind of things, you know, which will help to reduce even the noise from machine to machine? Let's take an example. If you have 50 different machines and the noise is coming from, even though from all machines a certain noise level is there, and that noise is accumulating, and might be you will recommend the highly noisy machines need to be isolated, or you will, you know, somewhat eliminate. But these are expensive solutions and might be your top management, they'll not agree for that. So what is the next phase? You will see either the preventive maintenance plans for each machines are being followed, what is the shelf life of each machine, and either the machine was designed for 10 years and we are using that machine for the last 15 years. So of course it will give a lot of sound, you know, like the old car and the new car, hell of difference, right? So whenever we are going to resolve any issue, you know, related to health and safety, could be the risk, could be the hazard, make sure we start from the same hierarchy of control. We start from either elimination or substitution or engineering controls or administrative controls or the PPs, you know. If you believe engineering controls are not possible, we have done maximum, it is unavoidable, of course we can create some admin rules, or like the exposure time or putting warning signs. In our toolbox meetings we're going to discuss that is, those are the prohibited areas. We'll educate during the induction program even to our visitors that you are not allowed to go to those areas. So we apply several administration rules, you know, and ultimately the last solution, the PPs, the ear defenders or earmuffs, earplugs, so we can reduce that impact. Now let's take an example of woodworking area. The noise level is 90 decibel throughout the shift. The noise level is 90 decibel throughout the shift. In woodworking area, what actions you're going to recommend actually? It's a woodworking area. The noise level is 90 decibel throughout the shift. Okay. No doubt, the same way we'll do noise assessment. We'll see and find out the source of that noise, from where exactly the sound is coming more and more. Is it a Is it a belt? Is it a kind of a bearing? It is for lubricant areas, or it's unavoidable. It's inbuilt sound, in the machine. It's unavoidable actually. So accordingly, we will apply administration controls and ultimately go for the ear defenders or ear plugs. Now let's see what NEBOSH is talking about. NEBOSH is saying the much better strategy is how noise travels from source to receiver, no harm to understand. Like this is the noise source. It have a structured pathway. It could be direct or the pathway and directly hitting to the person eardrums. That is the reflected noise path. So it could be this way or this way or this way. We truly need to understand as per the source, and accordingly we have to see what basic control is going to be there. And starting from elimination, we have three ways according to the noise source: either to reduce noise at source, or you are interrupting the pathway, or you protect the receiver. So three domains of controls you can consider. Let's discuss the reduced noise at source. Look at the picture also. Might be some lubrication required or greasing required, and it's all okay. Might be you need to change a belt or bearing, or maybe a part of that machine. You just eliminate and bring the new one, and it's all done. The noise gone down. Maybe some fencing, maybe some gutting required of that noisy area, and it's all okay. Otherwise, the way NEBOSH is guiding, you can eliminate the noise source or substitute, modify the process. You can apply maintenance, damping and silencing. Interrupting the pathway could be insulation, isolation or absorption, or protect the receiver like a Kustenhaven or even hearing protection. So you can apply three methods, RIP. It's not like rest and peace, but RIP is all about reduce, interrupt, and protect. Reduce, interrupt, or protect. What we need to reduce? The noise at source, and interrupt the pathway or protect the receivers. Otherwise, hearing protection, ear defenders make sure and case the ear and bones surrounding the ear. They are wearing correctly. Earplug fit into the ear canal rather than this way or this way. We have a group exercise, discuss the relative advantages and limitations of ear defenders, muff type and earplugs as forms of hearing protection. Everything have advantages and disadvantages. But still, even some disadvantages are there, but it's unavoidable. We have to move on. So in that context, what are the advantages and limitations of ear defenders? Could be ear muff, could be earplugs. What are the limitations, Like you provide earplug or ear muff, what are the advantages and limitations? Advantages are, of course, we all understood, mashallah, that there are a lot of advantages. But what are the limitations or kind of disadvantages? Let's take an example of earplug. Is there any disadvantage or limitations of earplug? Then we'll discuss ear muffs also. Yes, Mr. Fawaz.
Yes, this is Mu'taz. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, all. For the earmuffs, one of the limitations is that it can be used only multiple times. Unlike the, I'm talking about the earplugs, sorry. Unlike the earmuffs, you can use it for longer times because the nature of it. It doesn't and get affected as the earplugs. Both of them are accessible, and this is from the advantages. Even though the earplugs is easier to be any imposition. So I see for the disadvantage only the use of them between the muffs and the earplugs.
Mhm. But you know, this ear muff, yes, any other opinion by anyone? Thank you very much, my friend. Thank you very much for your contribution. Any other one, please? Advantages of earplugs or ear muffs or limitations? You know, earplug, the best advantage we always believe is cheap one, you know, not so costly, but on the other side, earmuffs we believe is costly, and these are the limitations, and also we need to maintain. It shouldn't be contaminated. It shouldn't be like dusty enough. We have to clean properly before each use. We have to maintain, you know, because it is over and over you are going to use the earmuffs. But earplug, once they contaminated, people don't like to take it again inside the kennel, you know. So some limitations, but let's see what NEBOSH is talking about. Ear defenders or earmuffs, advantages, easy to supervise and enforce, use as they are visible. As a safety leader, the moment we are having a safety tour or inspection, earmuffs are quite visible. We can easily see, you know, either they are being used or not. Less chance of ear infections and also high level of protection possible through all sound frequencies. Bond transmission is reduced and also can be integrated with PPs like safety helmets and reusable. These are the advantages, but limitations, uncomfortable when worn for long time. Must be routinely inspected, cleaned and maintained. Efficiency may be reduced by long hair, spectacles or earrings, and also incompatible with some other items worn. Need dedicated storage facility as well. So these are some of the limitations of ear defenders. Now, earplug, the advantage is cheap, disposable, often more comfortable to wear, and do not interfere with any other items worn like PPs. But limitations are difficult to see when fitted. So supervision and enforcement is difficult. The risk of infection if dirty, or if cross-contamination when inserted. So these are some of the limitations of earplugs as per NEBOSH theories. Now, whichever type of hearing protection is chosen, arrangements should be made for information, instruction, and training. How to wear, how to use, how to maintain, how to clean. It's like safe storage, cleaning, maintenance, and even when to replace, you know. We truly need to train actually. What is the role of health surveillance? Like odometry allows, we discussed already, but as per NEBOSH, identification of workers with pre-existing hearing damage. You know, we can put one condition, even though the medical screening is important, like before you employ or hire anyone, but still particular, we can still make it mandatory. We need odometry test, like the existing hearing damage the person already have, you know, no harm, or within the medical screening, that point should also be considered important. If your operations are highly noisy already, and you are hiring a person with the hearing damage, maybe 20%, maybe 30%, so still you are bringing more risk to your business actually, because ultimately, if the hearing damages happen because of your company operations, they can file a case actually, and they can go to the court. And of course, if we are unable to prove that we provided all the resources, but that gentleman, you know, he didn't follow some of the safety rules, still some way or another, if he wants the case, a lot of compensation the company have to pay. So in that context, we have to be proactive, you know. So no harm to put that condition in our pre-employment, you know, medical screening, and make sure the gentleman is not deaf or not having any hearing damage, which could be more dangerous for your business even. So remove and exclusion of such workers from high noise areas, investigation of noise controls to rectify problems. We have a group exercise, identify occupations at risk from noise-induced hearing loss and the potential causes. So let's identify first of all the occupations at risk from high noise like induced hearing loss and the potential causes. The list of professions, as per our understanding, what do you think? Which are the professions you believe? You can take an example of your Sadara company operations, or maybe outside world also you can observe, Identify occupations at risk from noise-induced hearing loss and the potential causes. Like think about your drillers, your the users of power tools or vibrating tools. Think about your electrical technicians, or working or managing or maintaining the highly noisy generator areas. Think about some other occupations also could be in danger. Yes, please. Any one of you?
Workshop operators.
Workshop operators.
And
Okay.
we also have the aviation maintenance, since they work next to airplanes and engines.
Okay. And what
People
are
also
the-
working in concerts.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Just people working at concerts and in bands and stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Industry.
So several professions, but to
Industry.
be very honest, so we need to identify the high risk professions, especially within our business operations. Like which professions or kind of occupations are there within our business model, which we truly need to focus. And that focus you can get from your risk assessment register also. Because you have risk assessment for every activity for all processes, machines, and areas. So just make sure you identify separately which occupations or the targeted areas are there having more potential causes of high noisy. That is all about 5.1. We discussed what are the health effects of exposure to high levels of noise and the three main ways of reducing noise, and also what types of PPs are available and what are the pros and cons of each. So we'll discuss inshallah 5.2.